Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome to today's video and welcome to another speed build. If you're new, my name is Anna and I like to build in The Sims 4 and I release speed build videos once a week here on YouTube with a couple of shorts of breakdowns of decorating and exterior furnitures and stuff. And yeah, I generally do build in The Sims. I haven't played much of The Sims in a while. I definitely feel I'm one of those people who I would open The Sims and then play it for 12 hours and then not touch it for 3 months. That's me with gameplay. But building, there's just something so almost therapeutic with building for me. So yeah, I really enjoy building. Okay, so back to today's build. We are in beautiful Solani and we are building a 2x1 bedroom family home. And this is a kind of a typical beach house. It's very similar to a lot of the builds that I have built in Solani. And that's probably the thing I don't like about it the most. I think I really want to try and build something maybe modern in Solani or even something that's just a little bit different style. But I feel like I always go to a world and just use the assets that come with the pack. Even though I have tons of different packs, I don't know, I always forget to use other packs. Although we are using a lot of Adventure Awaits in this build. The windows are all from Adventure Awaits. There's something about them that looks like they're kind of outdoorsy. And I guess that makes sense because of the pack that they came with. But I feel like they work perfectly for this beach house. But the flooring is from Island Living. A lot of the roof texture, the roof trim, the columns, all of that's from Island Living. But I have tried to merge a couple of other packs in there that are complementary. All right, so in terms of the floor plan, it was pretty simplistic. So I had to separate the build into two. So you have one half, which is your living, dining, and in this way, your bathroom, kitchen. So you walk in and you have your kitchen. So this placement here is correct. And then you go through an archway that will lead you to a living room. And then the archway then goes into the center of the house, which is your central hallway that kind of connects you from the left to the right. And obviously on the left-hand side of the build is all of the bedrooms. So yeah, you go down a hall and you have a kids' room at the front of the build and you have a master bedroom. The kids' room in this build is so cute. It's one of my favorites and I cannot wait to show you. All right, so this isn't a lot I usually build on. This is, it's still in the main island, I think, but it's just further up in the right upper corner, I think. And it's a nice lot. I didn't want anything that was super big. I did want it to be a small home. But yeah, I just feel like all of my island living builds look the same. You'll have to let me know in the comment section down below. Do you have the same problem where you build a certain type of home and it just all turns out the same? And I think it's because I heavily use island living. So I feel like the pack looks very, the builds look very repetitive. I really was leaning into the green because I really loved the combination of the green and the orange. But in the end, I do change the internal wallpaper. I think I use a beige or a muted lemon yellow, pastel yellow. And yeah. So at this point, I was like, how can I add a little bit of interest to this build that I wouldn't normally have? So I decided to add in a boat ramp. And I thought the boat ramp was really cool because it used up a lot of the exterior, even though I suppose your Sims could, need that space to swim, but it's fine. They have their own, is it like a kayak or a boat? I don't know. Windsurfer. I don't actually know what that boat's called, but they've got a boat. And that starts the exterior. So I am kind of working on the landscaping and the outside. For the longest time, I couldn't understand why I couldn't get the ladders. I always forget it's not a ladder. It's actually a certain type of tool that you get from Island Living. So, but I cut all that out. You don't see me struggle. At the front of the build, you have like a inbuilt kind of barbecue area. I love all of the shade pieces. There's so many furniture pieces in Island Living that I love and that I think are just very, topical for this area. But then again, I think it would be really cool to build something, I don't know, modern or even like I suppose a more coastal beach house would be better placed in like Brindleton Bay or Windenburg. I am currently designing a build that's in Windenburg on that pier lot, and it's such a beautiful lot. And that's actually a modern build as well. So I'm very excited for that. Anyway, that's the ladder piece. So I did just draw in some fencing. It's not technically connected, but I think unless you're looking really closely, you wouldn't be able to tell. Okay, a part of Island Living that I absolutely love is the debug menu. I think that the world is just so beautiful of Sulani, and there's so many like beautiful pieces. I love the trees. I love how that they are kind of grown in different directions and you can kind of layer them and create like a focal point, and it kind of frames the build. I really love it. So in this case, I've used the palm trees to kind of frame that seating area. And what I do in the end is I grab a debug fence and I kind of fence off the whole area, and it looks really super cute. I put in a swing set. There is a child sim in this build. Sorry, for this household, I guess. And I did imagine that, this home would have, potentially. So it's decorated for maybe a couple and a child sim, or, you could change the beds and the whatnot, and you could make this a toddler. The room is super cute, and I'm so excited to show you all. I used some decals that I don't normally use, and I just think it really worked. And again, it's kind of leaning into that concept of, use other packs because at the time of Island Living, we didn't have so many things that we have now. All right, so I love these little debug pathing, pebble pathing. So I've used that to kind of create a path to the front door, but also to the swing set. I think that that's really cool. I'm now changing the color scheme. I want to use a more darker brown for the foundation. I think I also changed the roof, and this is the point where I changed the walls to that more apricot beigey color. It's not really yellow, but yeah. So I've done that, changing all of the columns, and then I think we'll be moving inside to do the decorating. So yeah, at this point, the build is really coming together, and I feel like the front is lacking something. So I actually end up using a round glass stained window from Wedding Stories, and I think that it just adds to this build. It makes it very cute. I think I'm adding, yep, there it is there. And it's just a floral stained glass window, but it kind of works for the scenery. I think it's really quite nice. Okay, we are officially inside and we're doing the decorating. So we are going to start from the front, which is the kitchen. So I use this beautiful large window in here as a way to kind of, because I didn't want it to be front facing, but I like the idea of it being to the side because you've got, people playing and whatnot to, in that kind of sitting area by the barbecue. And, I could just imagine someone poking their head out and being like, hey, so I really like that placement of the window. And I love the upper head cabinets that come with Island Living. I don't use them a lot, but they're quite nice and you can put things on the shelf. So I put in a plant that actually comes from, I think it's For Rent. It just looks like a really tropical plant. I also put in a house plant because I felt that the colors of the house plant match the space the best. I put in a carver drink thing because I think that there are certain gameplay things where that's important. Yeah, and then just a dining table off to the side with a portrait that comes from Parenthood, which is literally, I swear it's Sulani, it's just the beachfront, and I just thought that that looked perfect. It didn't really fit the style, but was very much the theme. All right, so through those double doors, it's not an archway, it's a double door. Usually it's an archway. I put archways everywhere in my builds. You go into a very small, like, living room. I love the furniture. So all the furniture, the beds, the chairs, the lounges we got with Island Living are so good. And yeah, this is just all Island Living. I thought this clutter piece that had the fishing rod and whatnot was very thematic for this build. I think that comes from the Everyday Clutter kit. So yeah, I've added in that in there, and just a very simple living room. And now we are moving. So you go back through another set of double doors to a hallway, and then you head to the bedrooms. So you've got 2 bedrooms. You've got a master bedroom and a kids room, as mentioned. And this master bedroom is very pink. Sometimes I do masters and I swear that I just make them super feminine, and I forget that they very much could be a, couple. So it doesn't necessarily have to all be pink. But I have in this build. So I've combined Love Struck with Island Living, and I've used a lot of Adventure Awaits. That mirror comes from Adventure Awaits. Something about it. It just looks like this is a very outdoorsy world. And Gibby Point is a very outdoorsy world. So I just feel like some of those assets really work well together. Okay, gone in with the pink. So as you can see, it's very, I don't know, maybe it's a single parent. I don't know. Who knows? I didn't really think of a storyline when building this. I just kind of decorated it just for, I guess, a couple and a child. So in the hallway, my favorite thing that I have is this steering wheel. I can't remember where this steering wheel came from. It might be Adventure Awaits, or it could be like a debug item. I'm not sure, but I love it. And I think it works with this build, again, so well. We do end up adding in the shelving unit that comes from Island Living. And I just alt place a whole bunch of objects. I had a really skinny hallway by the door of the kids' room, so I put in just a bookshelf. I just thought sometimes, like, it's nice to just kind of fill a space, but it doesn't necessarily have to be super functional. And we've got a computer, just because I think a computer works in any build. I know that sometimes some, like, technology doesn't really fit the theme, but I like it. All right, so we are moving into arguably my favorite room in the house, which is this kids' room. It all started with this divider, this cute little divider that has this blue kind of bit of fabric that's draping over it. And so the theme is obviously blue and white. And I would say that it is gender neutral. This is definitely not anything that's a certain gender. It's decorated really fairly. This rug comes from Base Game. I just copied over the dresser that's from the master bedroom. And then I decide to put in a really comfy chair. And I do use the one from Island Living. As I said, I wasn't trying to make this a limited pack build, but I guess I just naturally did. So I put in a desk like I would in most kids' room. I did put in some form of a toy. You've got a Bluffy. And this is where it gets fun. We're going to now add all of these wall decals. Now, these wall decals came from the bathroom clutter kit, I think. And they're so thematic. It's like under the sea theme. It's so good. So I've got the narwhal. I've got a general whale. I've got the turtle, the coral. It's so cute. And in this just really soft pastel blue. It is such a beautiful space. It's very thematic for a kid's room. And I think it's wonderful. I think the only thing that would have been better if I like put like a mermaid decal in there, that would have been really good as well. Okay, so the final room to decorate in this build is the bathroom, but I am just going to quickly clutter up a few spaces in the master bedroom and on this shelf that we were talking about. And yeah, so yeah, it's just a very simplistic build, and sometimes I like that. Sometimes I don't think you need something that's overly cluttered. All right, so in the bathroom, we are using the same counters that we use for the kitchen. And I do think I put in a bathtub that comes from Adventure Weights. Yes, I do. I really heavily use this pack, but I think it suits. So all the doors are also from Adventure Weights as well. Gone in with a plant. I really like these big windows, and I've got the blinds that also come from Island Living. I use that mirror all over the build. It's just one of my favorites. And we're just going to clutter up the counter and just copy and paste the rug from the kitchen. So that's pretty good. And I think we are now going into the tour. We live in game? No, we're just adding some final touches to the exterior. All right. So we are live in game. So we're going to head through the entrance into the kitchen and dining space. I love this space. I think the tiling that comes from Lovestruck really helped this space. You then head through those double doors into the living room. And I've used a lot of candles because we got a lot of candles in Island Living. You head down the hall through to the front of the build to the kids' room, which is my favorite room in the house. I think I am just going to add some extra clutter pieces on top of the dresser, some arts and crafts, maybe some books, clothing. Head down the hall into the master bedroom. Very pink. I'm not sure why, but it's very pink. Love that bed. And then you have a study nook and your bathroom. You then hang it outside and you have a beautiful sitting area and your boat ramp. And then you have your, I guess, your canoe boat. You've got floaty things in the water. I love like changing the lighting. And you can just see the build in a whole different way. Really love all the landscape decorating we did with the debug menu. And yeah, that is the build today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.